Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve.
My name's Disappointed.
And today we're going to discuss the Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle movie.
Something.
Second Netflix animated Godzilla film. If you guys haven't seen it, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in here because we're just going to talk about the movie. If you just want it in a nutshell.
Man, all suddenly, Godzilla Revenge looks pretty good, you guys.
Why do you think we were streaming Godzilla's Revenge the other day? We had better things to do.
My God.
Yeah, it's just the movie's a bit of a letdown. We'll say that. But we're gonna mainly be getting into it a lot with the spoiler section. But for the most part, the plot is literally the first movie. It's just a lot of world building to have essentially almost the same payoff, but it just doesn't feel as it just doesn't feel as like accomplishing.
No.
Like nothing really gets accomplished in this movie. And most of the things that you really came to this movie because of stuff that was teased, and even things that get teased throughout the entirety of the movie, nothing comes to fruition. Which just really leaves a sour taste in your mouth.
Worse than those suckers we had, Steve? Definitely.
Yeah, I'd rather have those suckers again. But anyways, getting into the spoiler section, why the heck is Mechagodzilla not in this movie?
He's a whole city now, Steve. Just a city.
How? I know they explain it in the movie, but why would it just become a city?
Because
like, it is
cold.
programmed to kill Godzilla, so what does it do? Makes itself stationary.
Makes itself stationary by building a city.
And an atmosphere so that the people can live in it.
I don't get it. Like, it's... No.
Anyways, alright, so, getting into the film. Again, I'm not that big of a fan of this movie. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm just gonna say it now. I think this is the worst Godzilla movie.
It's definitely like second worst Godzilla for me, for sure.
No, this is definitely below Sea Monster Revenge for me.
Oh,
like
Sea Monster
I think if I had to come back, I would much rather watch Sea Monster. Because for me, this is the first movie. It's just the first movie all over again.
Speaking of that, like the first time I see that vulture they made, I was like, "Oh, that's a Kong."
Oh yeah, they should have called it a Condor.
Yeah,
I think that should have been it 100%.
Because it did nothing, absolutely nothing. They hyped it up. I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna do some damage with this thing."
It looks cool. If they made a figure, I'll buy it. But it's just...
Only thing was missing was just to scratch Godzilla eyes. And every time it focused on Godzilla eyes in the movie, I was just hoping one of them came up and scratched it, but it didn't. I was like, oh.
Man, you know what? I like seeing just random explosions like Godzilla with him barely moving. Just like the first movie.
Oh, God. Where do we
start? Alright, so with the plot, you find out that the girl that saved him, they're the Mothra twins. In the movie, they build it up that the people are descendants of something insectile. And you even see on the wall when they're like doing the worship and trying to communicate with the people through telepathy, there's a giant... It's kind of hard to distinguish, but it's a moth.
Yeah.
It's a giant representation of a moth. They keep calling it a chick in the film. It's Mothra. And we get a bit of a tease. Something might happen. Because in the movie, they explain... Just like we know in the first movie, that a lot of the Earth is evolving itself to mimic Godzilla. Because Godzilla is the dominant predator. It's the thing on the planet. So everything's trying to become like Godzilla. But this movie introduces them who are not susceptible to the Godzilla, like the whole Godzilla evolution theory, because they're becoming more like Mothra. So instead of leaning towards him, they're leaning towards a separate monster, which is one thing that's brought up in this film. Because even the other alien race joins Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
They want to become more like Mechagodzilla. And everything's just trying to essentially replicate the kaijus in the movie.
So, like, when he speaks of Ghidorah, I'm assuming the other people will eventually in the other movies trying to...
Yeah, or even explain, because the monsters are the product of their own destruction.
Yep.
So how does Ghidorah tie into their destruction? Which we'll probably spend 3/4 of the movie figuring that out next time. Because this movie can't explain everything in just one film. Which is kind of the issue with this movie that I have like the first movie, I'm okay with it. It's a lot of world building. We have a new setup. We gotta explain how the war monsters work in this movie. So it's gonna take some time. I'm okay with this. And there's a little bit of action here and there throughout the movie to kind of keep me invested. This movie, on the other hand, is the exact same as the first movie, where we have a bunch of world building, explaining stuff, a little bit of action at the end. And it's not even like I come into Godzilla movies to watch monsters fighting monsters. And even like the people fighting monsters, I'm okay with if it's evolving. This movie didn't really do it for me, because it's just the exact same movie that we got, but in a different setting.
It was so frustrating watching this movie. I was hour in and I'm like, nothing is still freaking happening. I just wasted an hour of my lifetime. I was so pissed. I wanted to text Steve at like 4 o'clock in the morning, like, you bastard.
Yeah, because it's just like, I want to like the movie. I really do. Like, especially like, I like the world that they're setting up. I think like what they're trying to do is actually a pretty unique idea. But again, with the way the story's set up, and this is kind of like my problem with the Hobbit movies. And just more recent movies that are trying to do like these 3 arcs of films that should be one. Like, for instance, Star Wars. Each of those movies you can watch individually, and you'll still get the gist of what the Star Wars universe is, and you'll feel fulfilled throughout each movie.
By the way, he's talking.
I would almost even say the prequels. Like, even like Phantom Menace is its own self-contained movie, right?
Yeah.
There is a beginning and an end. Even though some of the stuff isn't, they're not successful, just like in this movie, beginning and end.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Again, you understand stuff. Beginning, middle, end. There's a complete arc of a story.
With a little tie-in, just enough to keep them all.
Yeah. Same with Lord of the Rings. Beginning, middle, everything has a beginning, middle, end, teases next movie. Beginning, middle, end, teases next movie. Marvel Universe. All the movies, self-contained, never need to see another Marvel movie. Like, say for Ant-Man. Both Ant-Mans, I didn't need to see the first Ant-Man to understand the second Ant-Man.
No,
Granted, it helps, but I didn't need it. There's a beginning, middle, and an end to their story, plus teases new things. Hobbit movie was where I think, especially with a lot of newer movies, is where this kind of fails. Because first movie, beginning, middle, end of the story, they get to the Dwarven Hold.
Yeah.
And they tease Smaug for the next movie. Like, they accomplish where they're trying to get to in that story. Teases the next part of the story.
First Godzilla movie. Understandable.
Yeah. They fight Godzilla. They kill it. But there's a bigger Godzilla. Teases what could happen for the next film, right? And where the Hobbit films fail is once you hit that second movie, there's all this build up to Smaug and the battle and what's going to happen. And then the movie just ends.
Just like this one.
And like for The Hobbit, my big problem is I think I would have enjoyed that movie way more, The Desolation of Smaug, if they would have took the first 5 minutes of the last film and just added it to that movie, where it just concludes the Smaug arc, teases the army.
Yeah, like I already know how they're gonna save that girl. They're gonna put that dust on her, and the nanos will drop off of her, and she'll survive.
I kind of actually hope she's dead.
I don't.
We need our main character even more angry than he already is.
I don't think. But then he'll be angry at the Mechagodzilla people, though, because they're the ones who killed her.
But they're all, like, there's none left, though. They all assimilated with Mechagodzilla, who got the Mechagodzilla, but that got obliterated. Like, he literally shot them at the end after, like, 10 minutes ago. We were okay with this game plan, even the assimilating part of it. But once, oh man, they're trying to get us. Like, I get that part. But it's like, you knew what was going to happen. Like, you knew they were going to try to start forcibly converting people.
I was so pissed at that part when he shot at them. I'm like, are you stupid? You're going to accomplish nothing, and you're going to make an opening for Godzilla. And that's exactly what he did. You just went through this whole plan. You're okay with it. And now, oh no, she's dying. You just destroyed it. It's like, it's all of his fault.
Yeah, she was okay with the idea to begin with.
Yeah.
Which that's more like the character arc. Like, I think if she would have been like partially okay with the assimilation, like say when they proposed the idea, she was like, yeah, and he was like, no, and makes a conflict. I think I would have enjoyed that better instead of just like, oh no, it's happening to me now. Oh, this is unacceptable. Even though she was okay with the idea.
Oh my god. Oh, so much anger.
Just like our main character, which I think is probably my biggest problem with this movie. Because for the most part, most of the other characters I don't even consider really that noteworthy outside of the other alien species.
Yeah, the peaceful ones, they're looking for God.
Yeah, like the guy that trying to introduce Ghidorah into this and stuff like. I thought they were more interesting in the first movie than this one, and in this one they're kind of a little bit on the back burner because they're trying to develop his story and move it along with the girl. But he's just all he does is he's either mad at Godzilla or repeats whatever everybody else is saying. That's all he does, and he's just so unlikable.
He just half of them are freaking unlikable.
Like it's kind of
stand him.
It's kind of like Eren on Attack on Titan, but at least he can have his own discerning. He has his own distinguishable thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, this guy doesn't. He just copy and paste. Like it's just lazy. It's lazy writing, man.
Just like we're gonna be like the city's Mechagodzilla. The city's Mechagodzilla. And it's just he bothers me. Like first movie, it wasn't so bad. Like he was just kind of like he was just pretty much a rip off of Eren from Attack on Titan.
It's like okay, maybe that's a development of his character. He'll be better in the next one.
Yeah, and this one is just
it just did a 360. It just went black. It just went Black Spider-Man. Like
that, and it might even help the movie if maybe they didn't try so many different things. Because I think, too, is a lot of people are going to be disappointed that Mechagodzilla is just not in the movie. And he's more than likely not going to be in the next one.
That was the biggest pile of horse manure. Because at 20 minutes left of the movie, I'm like, okay, Godzilla's starting to melt. He'll show up now. This is where he comes in. This is where he shines. He stops it. No, he didn't. Like, what the heck? Come on!
And I think a lot of this is because they're trying to introduce a bunch of things in this movie, especially with the whole Mothra arc and the Mechagodzilla arc. And I think if they would have just picked one and ran with it.
Well, like, I was hoping at least freaking I hate Mothra, but at least let her show up, you know?
Yeah, or something. Like, give us more of a tease or something. Like,
show the egg, crack it, let the larva come out.
Yeah, and then, like that would at least give us something visually instead of just Ghidorah.
Well, it's like the most stupidest thing ever. Like, they were like, we need Godzilla to slow down. He's going too fast. I was like, okay, this is the part where the Mothra comes out. I mean, the larva shoots the string, slows down Godzilla. Perfect timing. Let's do this. This is where.
Yeah.
I was like, why is the vulture coming out? What are you gonna do?
Oh man, what is shoot this? At Godzilla some more of those effective ammunition.
Yet again. Like so many good missed opportunities in this movie, and they took all the wrong turns.
Yeah, because again, it's like we spent so much time world building and setting up stuff, but nothing in this movie that's setting up. There's no payoff for any of it.
No, there's
no payoff really for the Mechagodzilla stuff. There's no payoff for the Mothra stuff in this film, and the movie just kind of abruptly ends.
They're like, could be King Ghidorah.
God, I can't believe it just ends with him screaming.
I hope, listen to me, I hope she's dead. And I hope he dies.
I imagine the next movie is going to be like his quest in trying to save her. Well, more than likely. If she's not dead.
That'll be the most stupidest thing ever because it's so easy. Just take the fairy dust and put it on her and it'll fall off. That's been mentioned few times in this movie.
Well, they mentioned that the Mechagodzilla is a disease. And maybe that's because they're good against like Godzilla stuff, but they weren't adaptable to the Mechagodzilla stuff.
That's what I mean. And then the reason why the nanodroids or whatever just kind of fell off of him is because the powder from them on his body.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming anyways, because she didn't really have any contact with them.
No, she never. Even like halfway through the movie when they get to the city, she points out, or he was like, all these people, they got healed by them. They're getting sick. Once I take him out of the Godzilla city, they feel better. He's like, you should go out and relax.
Yeah.
So it has to do something with that stupid powder that they show on him when he wakes up and he's all like red and sparkly and yet again, just stressful. Because I was so hyped for this movie. I was like, finally, things will be explained from the last movie.
Yeah, because it's kind of like this movie was the one I was hoping there'd be a little bit more action in.
Oh, there was action.
Oh yeah, again, it's literally they fight the little flying things. Moving on to Godzilla.
Godzilla should have just shot him with a breath and killed him. God, it would have made my day.
Should have exploded the one dude.
Yeah,
I think that would have made me more happy. I do like that they're trying to make themselves weapons, though. Like, let's just spear into it. Wait a second.
Oh my god.
And it's not even like I'm over the animation part because I don't think it's really all that bad.
No, after the second one, you get used to it, you know?
Yeah, it's like Transformers Prime. I love that show to death, but initially when I first started watching it, I didn't really care for the animation style that much, which is kind of the same vein as this. Like, once you get into the movie and start like getting into the world, you lose yourself in it. It just doesn't really it takes you away from that, which I think is perfectly fine. Like, that's actually my least complaint about this movie. Like, if anything, I thought they did a pretty good job outside of, like, Godzilla doesn't really do much, so there's not really much animation other than just like
few steps,
electrical sparks, and him changing colors.
Well, there's that whole melting point, which
Him
is
changing colors.
What is that? Is he turning to Shin Godzilla? Is he turning to Burning Godzilla? Because he looks like both of them.
Well, what was it? He was converting his power into heat.
Yeah, so instead of him exploding, he was pushing it out as a heat bomb.
Yeah, well, he was trying to melt the metal around him.
Yeah.
He's adapting. I like too that they just mentioned, like, just casually in this movie, there's a monster worse than him out there. Just to let you know.
Well,
they could have at least gave us a tease for Ghidorah more so than just giving us a name.
That was the greatest thing. I was just waiting for him to be like, there's a monster that's worse out there. It's Gabara.
It just ends with the Gabba roar. That would have been like I would have been okay. This would have been 10 out of 10.
I need to make. You gotta teach me how to use that thing, Steve, so I can make all the memes out there.
I just might make one tomorrow. I gotta find the scene.
Just be like, it's worse. It's Gabara, and just have like Gabara in the background.
Yeah, just have like fading in. I'm okay with that idea.
That would have been the greatest ending. I'm like, that's it. 10 out of 10. Greatest Godzilla movie ever. But no. The movie to me was predictable. Because when he was talking about that, I was like, there's only two things. It could be Destroyer or King Ghidorah.
Well, you already, like, the problem with us waiting for it to come over is Ghidorah was already spoiled. We already knew Ghidorah was in the third movie. It was pretty much like second movie came out, and bam, there's a poster for the third movie, and it's Ghidorah.
Yeah.
So it was already, like, there was really no suspense at that point.
Hey, you guys, it's okay, though, because Ghidorah won't actually show up in a movie. It's okay.
Sure, well, we'll get the head, and then...
Yeah, they'll find a head somewhere on the Earth planet, and there'll be a city building around it.
That'll be great.
It'll
be Ghidorah City.
I'm throwing out my predictions, you guys.
It'll be gold instead of silver.
Yeah, and then the...
And then they'll lure Godzilla into a trench and try to shoot it with bullets again.
Yeah, and then the hippie people, or the God-seeking people, they'll just kind of melt into the Ghidorah. And they'll turn into the first King Ghidorah with the hairy chest, you know?
He doesn't have a hairy chest, he has a hairy head.
He's hairy everywhere.
God. Anyways. Now, I hope the next movie, they actually have monster fights, which is good. I want to see Godzilla actually animated. Like, I want him, like, moving around and doing a bunch of stuff. This was not the movie we got that in. He actually was more lively in the second movie. And it's just mostly... It'd be the same move, it's just on a bigger model. So, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with just the moving around. Because he just... Like, Godzilla just... Like, most of the stuff just doesn't seem lively in this movie.
Okay, Steve.
That's a problem with Godzilla fighting a city.
Okay, Steve. We did our bashing. We gotta say one positive thing about this
movie. I did. I don't think the animation's that bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There we go.
I said my one thing. And I like the story that's trying to build. But...
Ooh.
Two things. But there's this... I feel like there's literally no reason to watch this movie until the third movie comes out.
No, there isn't. It'll frustrate you.
And that's the issue. Like, just to conclude this, they essentially took, to me it feels like this should have been maybe 2 movies that got pushed into 3. Because the first movie has a beginning, middle, end, teases next one. I was okay with it. It's setting up stuff, right? This movie, again, is just setting up stuff, but there's no real conclusion. And we gotta now officially wait till the next movie comes out to really get what we're seeking. And again, could have just been combined into one. Because a lot of the stuff we already knew, so they could have just started tossing on new information. And I know some people might have been complaining that it might have been too fast. But they could have just made the movie a little bit longer, it would have been okay.
I would have watched 2 hours if another monster showed up.
Or even just like, maybe like Mechagodzilla attempts to do something. Yeah. Maybe, like, I don't need him like to fully show up, but like, I would have been okay if like they would have like converted and like the Mechagodzilla fails to start or something. Like, at least like moves along a little bit and like changes it up. And nothing's really changed from the first movie.
Yeah, they should have started building Mechagodzilla, and they're like, well, he's not he's not functioning properly, you know.
And I already realized that this movie's gonna have an issue when they were like, we could just use the same plan we had from the first movie. And there's 20 minutes left. You know what your action sequences are gonna be? Something that's already been done.
You know what? This movie doesn't deserve this much time, Steve. We're cutting it here.
Yeah, so in the end, very disappointed with the movie.
Definitely bottom 2 movies for sure. Like, Sea Monster has actually moved up a notch in my belt.
Yeah, I was going to say Sea Monster has action. Sea Monster has a story that ties up in one film. Sea Monster wins for me.
It's moving up.
Even Godzilla's Revenge. Everything is tied up in the one movie. It's set up way better. I'm going to go with it. Now, are you still excited for a third movie?
I don't know. Like, first movie, I was excited. So it's just like, you said Hobbit. Second movie, I was disappointed. Just like Hobbit. Like, this stupid. Third Hobbit, I was semi-excited. So my instinct is telling me that I should be happy for it. But I don't know.
That was my problem with, again, bringing up the Hobbits, is once I saw that second movie, I just kind of lost interest.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at right now. Because I'm not that interested for the third one. I'm not.
It's one of those, like, I'm at the point now where it's like, when it comes out, cool, I'll check it out because Godzilla, I'm going to. But I was just not nearly as hyped for this as I originally was.
Yeah, I am actually more excited about watching the anime of how not summon a demon lord than this.
Yeah? And that's just Overlord.
Sad. That's sad.
It's just an Overlord ripoff.
God.
No, I'm just Meg's my next giant thing movie that I'm waiting for.
Oh, I can't wait for that movie.
That movie looks like it looks like it'll at least be fun. And hopefully have a finishing story. But what'd you guys think of Godzilla 2? Did you guys enjoy the movie? Let us know in the comment section below.
And don't hate us. We were just being honest.
Yeah, like I said, like, it's not like, I think the movie's not unwatchable, but just in terms of what it could have been, the movie is definitely a big letdown.
They missed a lot of points that could have made this movie so much better.
And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.